The processing hall reeked of blood, smoke, and hopelessness. Cold white lights reflected off polished steel walls, revealing endless rows of exhausted prisoners standing in silent lines beneath the watchful eyes of armed guards. The air was heavy with whispered prayers, muffled sobs, and the distant clatter of machinery deciding the fate of conquered worlds. Princess Salith Vaughn walked slowly through the grim corridor, her silver ceremonial robes gliding across the icy metal floor. Every step felt heavier than the last. She did not belong here, and she had never wanted to witness what happened after one of her father's victories. But Emperor Calforn had insisted. "Observe the conquered," he had told her, after she dared question his policies during the royal banquet. "Learn what weakness looks like. Mercy is a luxury reserved for the powerful." So she came, not as a princess seeking understanding, but as a daughter serving a lesson she had never asked to learn. Salith was the third daughter of Emperor Calforn, sovereign of the mighty Valorian Empire, a ruler whose name inspired fear across thousands of star systems. Yet as she looked into the hollow eyes of the prisoners before her, she found herself wondering whether weakness truly belonged to the defeated, or to those who had forgotten how to feel compassion. In the hierarchy of the royal family, she ranked barely above the servants. Her two older sisters commanded fleets. Her brothers governed entire star systems. Salith attended ceremonies and smiled for portraits. The prisoners kneeling before her came from a border skirmish near the outer reaches. Most were Danaki, a four-armed species known for their mining operations. They trembled as she passed, their yellow eyes fixed on the ground. The Valorans had conquered them centuries ago, and they knew their place. But one prisoner did not kneel properly. One prisoner sat with his back straight, his strange, soft face watching the guards with what looked like curiosity rather than fear. Salith stopped walking. "What is that?" she asked her escort. "Commander Vaith." The commander checked his data tablet. "A human, Your Highness. Captured 3 days ago. His ship crashed near the battle zone." Human. Salith had heard the name but never seen one. Humans came from a small planet far from Valoran space. They had no empire, no great fleet, nothing that mattered. "Why is he here with war prisoners?" Commander Veith's face showed discomfort. "He killed 17 of our soldiers." Your Highness Salith looked at the creature again. He was smaller than a Valoran by at least a head. His skin looked soft without the natural armor plating that protected her people. He had no claws, no venom glands, no visible weapons of any kind. 17, she repeated. "How?" "We are still investigating." He had no advanced weapons when captured, just a metal blade and his hands. The human turned his head and met Salith's eyes. She felt a strange chill run through her. Prisoners did not look at royalty. Prisoners stared at the floor and begged for mercy. This creature looked at her like he was studying a problem. "What is your name?" Salith asked. The human said nothing for a moment, then he spoke in heavily accented Valoran. "Marcus Cole. You learned our language. I listen. 3 days." He had learned enough Valoran in 3 days to answer her questions. Salith felt something she had not felt in a long time. Interest. "Why did you kill my soldiers?" Marcus Cole. "They were trying to kill me. You could have surrendered." "I did surrender." After killing 17 of them, the human shrugged. The gesture was strange, a lifting of his shoulders that somehow communicated a complete thought. "They stopped trying to kill me after 17, so I stopped." Commander Veith stepped forward. "Your Highness, this creature will be processed with the others. He will serve in the labor camps or be executed depending on his usefulness." Salith should have nodded and walked away. That was what a proper princess would do. But she had spent her entire life doing what proper princesses did, and it had earned her nothing but a place at the bottom of her family. She remembered an old tradition, one rarely used anymore, the right of Keth, the claiming. Any royal could claim a prisoner as a personal guardian. The prisoner would serve until death, bound by law and ancient custom. "I invoke Kethvari," Salith said. Commander Veith stared at her. "Your Highness, I claim this human as my guardian. Prepare the binding ceremony." The commander looked like he wanted to argue, but the law was clear. Even the lowest princess had the right of Keth. "As you command, Your Highness." The binding ceremony took place that evening. Marcus Cole stood silent as the ceremonial chain was locked around his throat. The chain was symbolic rather than practical. The true binding was legal. He now belonged to Salith until one of them died. Her sisters found it hilarious. A human, Princess Veth laughed over dinner. Little Salith claimed a human. What will it do? Bore her enemies to death. Perhaps it can carry her luggage. Princess Morath added. Those soft hands might be good for folding clothes. Sale said nothing. She had learned long ago that responding to her sisters only made things worse. Later in her chambers, she sat across from her new guardian. Marcus Cole had not spoken since the ceremony. He simply watched her with those strange, flat eyes. You are not afraid, Salith observed. No, you should be. You are a slave now. My property. I have been property before, Marcus said. I have been a prisoner before. I have been left for dead before. I am still here. How? You have no strength, no natural weapons. Your species is unremarkable. Marcus smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Your people have a saying, the strongest beast wins the hunt. My people have a different saying. What saying? It is not the strongest that survives. It is the one most willing to adapt. Salith did not understand, but she sensed that she had found something valuable in this strange creature, something nobody else had noticed. My handmaidens think there is something wrong with you, she said. They say you do not behave like a normal prisoner. There is nothing wrong with me, princess. I am simply waiting. Waiting for what? Marcus looked around her chambers. He looked at the guards outside her door, the servants moving through the halls, the security systems monitoring every corner. I am waiting to understand, he said. Your empire is very large. Your family is very powerful. But large things fall. Powerful families end. I have seen it before. I want to understand why it will happen to yours. Salith felt a flash of anger. The Valorian Empire has stood for 10,000 years. Everything ends, princess. The only question is how. Marcus settled back in his chair. But do not worry. I did not say it would end soon. I only said, I want to understand. That night, Salith could not sleep. She kept thinking about the human's words. She kept seeing that calm, patient look in his eyes. She had claimed him on impulse, expecting a curiosity, perhaps a conversation piece. She was beginning to suspect she had claimed something far more dangerous. 3 months passed. Marcus Cole became a ghost in the palace. He never spoke unless spoken to. He never complained about his quarters or his food. He followed Salith to court functions and stood in the corner, silent and still. The other nobles stopped noticing him after a few weeks. He was furniture, background, nothing. But Salith noticed that Marcus was never idle. His eyes moved constantly, watching faces, tracking conversations, noting who spoke to whom. He memorized the palace layout in days. He learned the names of every servant, every guard, every minor official. One evening, Salith found him in her study, reading through her personal library. You can read Valoran script now, she asked. I learned last month. Why? Marcus closed the book. It was a history of the royal succession. You have had 47 emperors. 31 died violently. 23 were killed by family members. I know my history. Do you? Marcus set the book aside. Your eldest brother Vorath is next in line for the throne. Your father favors him, but your sister Veth has more allies in the military council. Your sister Morath controls the trade guilds. Your brother Keel has been meeting secretly with the Outer Rim governors. Salith felt her blood turn cold. How do you know this? I watch. I listen. Nobody notices a human slave standing in the corner. This is treason. If my father knew you were gathering this information, your father already knows. He has spies everywhere. The question is whether he knows what to do with the information. Marcus stood and walked to the window. The capital city spread below them. Towers of glass and metal reaching toward a purple sky. Your father is dying, princess. What? I have watched him for 3 months. The tremor in his left hand. The way he loses focus during long meetings. The medication his physicians give him after every meal. He has perhaps 2 years. Salith sat down. Her legs felt weak. She had spent her whole life in her father's shadow, fearing his anger, seeking his approval. She had never considered a world without him. When he dies, Marcus continued, your siblings will go to war. Vorath will claim the throne. Veth will challenge him. Morath will fund whoever promises her the most power. Keelth will try to break away the Outer Rim. By my calculation, the civil war will kill between 2 and 5 billion people. You cannot know this. I can see it. The pattern is obvious. Your empire has no peaceful way to transfer power. Every succession is a war waiting to happen. Salith's hands were shaking. Why are you telling me this? Marcus turned to face her. Because you asked me what I was waiting for. I was waiting to see if you were different from the others. And your sisters talk about power. Your brothers talk about glory. You have never talked about either. You read poetry. You visit the lower districts without guards. You know the names of the servants who clean your rooms. Marcus tilted his head. You care about people who cannot help you. That is rare in your family. Caring has never gotten me anything. Caring is the only thing that matters. Marcus walked closer. Your empire rules 1,000 systems through fear. Fear works, but only for a while. Eventually, the people you frighten start to hate you. The species you conquer start to rebel. The soldiers you command start to wonder why they fight. You speak like a revolutionary. I speak like a human. We learned these lessons a long time ago. Empires built on fear always fall. Empires built on purpose can last forever. Salith shook her head. Even if you are right, I cannot change anything. I am the third daughter. Nobody listens to me. Not yet. Before Sale could ask what he meant, a knock came at her door. Her chief handmaiden Ta entered with a tray of evening tea. Marcus glanced at the tray. His expression did not change, but something shifted in his eyes. Princess, he said quietly, do not drink that tea. Tella froze. What did you say, creature? The sweet root in the tea is masking a secondary scent. Feleth extract. It causes heart failure. It would look natural. Salith stared at the tray. Tella had served her for 5 years. She was loyal. She was trusted. He lies, Tella said. I have served you faithfully. Who paid you? Marcus asked. His voice was calm. Princess Vyth or Princess Morath? Tella's face went pale. She dropped the tray and ran. Guards caught her before she reached the stairs. Under questioning, she confessed everything. Veth had paid her 50,000 credits to poison Salith. Not because Salith was a threat, but because killing her would be good practice for killing more important targets later. That night, Salith sat alone with Marcus in her chambers. Her hands had stopped shaking, but something inside her had changed forever. You knew, she said. You knew someone would try to kill me. I suspected your family kills each other. You are the weakest target. It was logical. You could have warned me earlier. Would you have believed me? Salith wanted to say yes, but she knew the truth. She would have dismissed his concerns. She would have trusted Tella. She would be dead now. Why did you wait? Why let me almost die? Marcus met her eyes. You needed to understand 2 things. First, you are surrounded by enemies. Second, I am not one of them. You could not learn both lessons separately. You used me as bait. I protected you when it mattered. The method was harsh, but you are alive, and now you know the truth about your family. Salith should have been furious. She should have ordered him executed for his manipulation, but she felt something else entirely. She felt awake. For 23 years, she had lived in a dream. She had believed that staying quiet and staying small would keep her safe. Tonight, she learned that nothing would keep her safe except herself. Teach me, she said. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Teach me to see what you see. Teach me to survive. For the first time since she had claimed him, Marcus Cole smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of a teacher who had found a worthy student. It will not be easy, he said. I do not want easy. I want to live. Then we begin tomorrow. Marcus stood and walked toward the door. Get some rest, princess. You will need it. He paused at the threshold. And princess, do not trust anyone who brings you food or drink. Not until I have checked it first. He left. Salith sat in the darkness, her mind racing with new thoughts. She had claimed a human warrior by chance. Now she was beginning to understand that chance had nothing to do with it. The universe had given her exactly what she needed. A teacher, a protector, a weapon, and the will to use all 3. The Kree Dominion attacked without warning. Salith learned about the invasion during breakfast. 3 border systems had fallen in a single night. The Kree, an ancient enemy from beyond the Galactic Rim, had launched the largest offensive in 2 centuries. Their black ships tore through Valoran defenses like paper. The Emperor called a war council. For the first time in her life, Salith was allowed to attend, not as a participant, but as an observer. She stood in the back of the chamber with Marcus, while her brothers and sisters argued about strategy. Crown Prince Vorath commanded the primary defense fleet. He wanted to meet the Kree in open battle, ship to ship, as Valorian tradition demanded. We have the superior technology, Vor declared. Our warriors are stronger. We will crush them through direct engagement. Princess Veith disagreed. The Kree are not fighting with honor. They use ambushes, suicide attacks, weapons that target civilians. We must respond in kind and abandon our principles. Vorath slammed his fist on the table. We are Valorans. We fight with honor or not at all. Marcus leaned close to Salath's ear. Your brother will lose. How do you know? The Kree have studied your people. They know you will fight with honor. They are counting on it. Honor makes you predictable. Predictable enemies are easy to defeat. The Emperor chose Vorath's strategy. The main fleet moved to defend the Malthus system, a critical supply route. Vorath promised victory within a month. 3 weeks later, half his fleet was destroyed. Malthus burned. The Kree pushed deeper into Valoran territory. The Emperor needed a scapegoat. He chose Salath. You will take command of the secondary fleet, he announced. You will go to Malthus and support your brother. When you fail, the blame will fall on you, and Vorath will be saved. Salath understood. Her father was sending her to die, so her brother's reputation could survive. This was how her family showed love. I accept the assignment, she said. Marcus said nothing until they were aboard her flagship, the Crimson Dawn. Then he called a meeting with her officers. You are going to lose this battle, he told them. If you fight like Valorans, you will die like Valorans. Commander Thex, her second in command, growled with anger. You dare insult our warriors, human. I am not insulting anyone. I am stating a fact. The Kithith have defeated every traditional strategy your people have used. They will defeat this one too, unless you try something different. What would a human know about war? Thex demanded. My species has been at war with itself for 10,000 years. We have fought every kind of enemy imaginable, including ourselves. We have learned things your people never needed to learn. Marcus activated a holographic display showing the Malthus system. The CFT expect you to fight with honor. They expect frontal assaults, ship-to-ship combat. They have prepared for all of this. Then what do you suggest? Marcus smiled. That cold smile. I suggest we stop fighting like Valorans. I suggest we fight like humans. Over the next week, Marcus taught them things that had no names in the Valoran language. He called them guerrilla tactics, psychological warfare, scorched earth, total war. Honor is a luxury, he explained. Survival is not. The CH want your systems. If they cannot have them intact, they will not want them at all. Destroy everything useful before they can take it. Force them to stretch their supply lines. Hit them where they do not expect. Run when they chase. Attack when they rest. This is cowardice, the protested. This is victory. Your ancestors did not build an empire by being fair. They built it by being ruthless. The Kithith are being ruthless now. Match them or die. Salath made the decision. We follow his strategy. The Battle of Malthus lasted 6 months. It was the ugliest fighting the Valorian Empire had ever seen. Marcus taught the fleet to attack supply convoys instead of warships. He taught them to mine asteroid fields and retreat, letting the Kree waste resources clearing paths. He taught them to broadcast false communications, making the enemy think reinforcements were coming from multiple directions. When the Kree captured a Valoran colony, they found nothing useful. Marcus had ordered everything valuable destroyed or evacuated days before. The Kree won empty ground. When Kree commanders slept in their quarters, they sometimes never woke up. Marcus had trained small teams to infiltrate enemy ships, using maintenance shafts and cargo holds. The assassinations destroyed Kree's morale more effectively than any battle. Crown Prince Vorath hated every moment. He called Salath a disgrace. He demanded she fight properly, but his remaining ships were trapped and only her tactics kept them alive. By the 5th month, the Kree offensive had stalled. Their supply lines stretched too thin. Their commanders kept dying. Their soldiers feared sleep. By the 6th month, they were retreating. Salath stood on the bridge of the Crimson Dawn and watched the Kree fleet withdraw from Malthus. She had lost half her ships. Thousands of her soldiers were dead, but she had won. Her officers gathered around her. The Who had once called her strategy cowardice, bowed his head. We doubted you, princess. We doubted you're human. We were wrong. Sale looked at Marcus. He stood in the corner as always, watching everything, saying nothing. I did not win this battle, Sale said. We won it together. Every soldier who fought, every ship that burned, every sacrifice made. This victory belongs to all of us. Her officers cheered, but Marcus did not smile. He knew what came next. "Your father will summon you," he said later when they were alone. "He sent you here to fail. You succeeded instead. This makes you dangerous. I am his daughter. You are his rival now. You have power he did not give you. Soldiers who are loyal to you, not to him. Ideas that challenge everything his empire stands for." Marcus looked out at the stars. The real war is about to begin. Salith felt the weight of his words. She had won a battle against the Kree. Now she would face something far more dangerous. Her own family. "What do I do?" she asked. "You survive. You build. You wait." Marcus turned to face her. "And when the moment comes, you decide what kind of empire you want to leave behind." The summons came 3 days later. Emperor Calforn demanded his daughter return to the capital immediately. Sail went. But she was not the same princess who had left. She had seen what was possible when people fought for something greater than honor. She had seen the future. Now she had to fight for it. The throne room fell silent when Sail entered. She had expected anger. She had expected punishment. What she found was fear. Her father sat on the crystal throne, surrounded by advisors and guards, and he looked at her like she was a stranger. "You return victorious," the emperor said. His voice was cold. "I served the empire, father. You changed the empire." He gestured to his advisors. "They tell me your tactics have spread. Commanders across the fleet are studying your methods. They speak of something called the human doctrine." Salith glanced at Marcus. He stood 3 steps behind her, his face blank. "I used the strategies necessary to win. You used strategies that no Valoran has ever used. Assassinations, sabotage, destruction of our own resources." The Emperor leaned forward. "You fought without honor. I fought to survive. Our soldiers fought to survive. We won. And now half the military thinks you should lead them instead of your brother." There it was, the truth her father could not say directly. Salith had become a threat, not because she wanted power, but because she had proven she could wield it. "I have no interest in the throne," Salith said. "Your interests do not matter. Your existence is the problem." The Emperor stood. Despite his age, despite the sickness Marcus had identified months ago, he was still terrifying. "I will give you one chance to prove your loyalty." He pointed at Marcus. "Execute your human publicly. Show the Empire that you reject his foreign ideas. Return to your proper place as my obedient daughter." Salith felt the room spinning. She had known this moment would come. Marcus had warned her. But hearing the words spoken aloud made them real. "He is my guardian. He saved my life. He won a war for our people. He is a weapon that has become too dangerous." The Emperor descended from his throne. "Choose, daughter. Your pet or your family. Your ideas or your future. There is no third option." Salith looked at Marcus. For the first time since she had known him, she saw something in his eyes. Not fear, acceptance. He had always known he might die for what he taught her. He had made peace with that possibility long ago. He nodded slightly. "Do what you must." Salith turned back to her father. Her whole life passed before her eyes. Every moment of silence, every swallowed insult. Every time she had made herself small to survive, she was tired of being small. "No," she said. The word echoed through the throne room. Nobody had ever said no to Emperor Kaf Vaughn. "What did you say?" "I said no." Salith drew her ceremonial blade. The guards tensed, reaching for their weapons, but she did not attack anyone. Instead, she walked to Marcus and lifted the blade to his throat. To the chain of Cathar, she cut it. The ceremonial chain fell to the floor. Marcus Cole was no longer her property. He was a free being. "He is no longer my guardian," Salith announced. "He is my advisor, my teacher, my friend, and any who challenge that, challenge me." The Emperor's face twisted with rage. "You defy me. You choose this creature over your own blood. I choose what is right over what is easy. I choose change over stagnation. I choose life over death." Salith sheathed her blade. "The empire you built is dying. Father, your children will tear it apart, fighting over the pieces. Billions will die. Everything our ancestors created will burn. You know nothing. I know everything. I have eyes now. I have seen the truth. You hide from yourself." Salith stepped forward, and for the first time, her father stepped back. "There is another way. An empire built on purpose instead of fear. Citizens instead of slaves. Unity instead of conquest. Marcus showed me this is possible. The ramblings of an alien. The wisdom of a species that has survived everything the universe could throw at them. Humans are not strong like us. They are not fast like us. But they adapt. They grow. They learn. Salith spread her arms. We have stopped learning. We fight the same wars with the same tactics, and wonder why we keep losing. Marcus taught me that change is not weakness. Change is survival. The Emperor raised his hand. Guards, arrest my daughter. Execute the human. Nobody moved. Salith smiled. The soldiers in this room fought with me at Mouthies. They learned the human doctrine. They survived because of it. Do you think they will kill the man who taught them to live? She turned to the guards. They were her soldiers now, men and women who had bled beside her, who had watched their friends die, and wondered why their empire would not save them. I do not ask you to betray your emperor, Salith said. I ask you to believe in something greater than any single ruler. I ask you to fight for a future worth living in. One by one, the guards stepped away from the throne. They moved to flank Salith instead. The emperor stood alone. This is treason, he whispered. This is evolution, Salith replied. You have two choices, father. Step aside peacefully, and let me begin the changes our empire needs, or force a civil war that will destroy everything. For a long moment, nobody breathed. Then the emperor laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. You think you have won. You have a handful of soldiers. I have armies, fleets, the loyalty of 1,000 systems. You have the loyalty of people who fear you. Fear fades. Hope grows. Salith took Marcus's hand. I will give our people something to hope for. The emperor's face hardened. Then we are at war, daughter. And when I crush your rebellion, I will make you watch your human die slowly, before I take your head. Perhaps Salith turned and walked toward the door. Her soldiers followed. Marcus walked beside her. But you will have to catch us first. They escaped the palace that night. By morning, word had spread across the empire. Princess Salith Vaughn had defied the emperor. She had freed her human advisor. She had declared a new vision for the future. Within a week, 3 star systems had pledged their support. Within a month, it was 30. The civil war had begun. Marcus stood with Salith on the bridge of the Crimson Dawn, watching the star map light up with allies and enemies. You could have saved yourself, he said. You could have killed me and kept your place in the family. I could not. Salith did not look at him. You showed me who I really am. You showed me what I could become. Killing you would have killed that too. The war will be long. Many will die. Many are dying already, just more slowly. At least now they die for something. She finally turned to face him. Thank you, Marcus. For what? For teaching me that strength is not about power. It is about purpose. Marcus smiled. For the first time, it was warm. You taught yourself. I just showed you where to look. The stars spread out before them, full of danger and possibility. An empire waiting to be reborn. Salith had started this journey as the forgotten princess. She would finish it as something else entirely. The war lasted 3 years. It burned across 1,000 star systems. It killed millions. It tore apart families and shattered worlds. But when it ended, the universe was different. Emperor Calfor died on his throne, refusing to surrender. Even as Salith's forces surrounded the palace, his last words were a curse against his daughter. She heard them and felt nothing. The father she had feared was already dead. This was just the body catching up. Her siblings scattered. Vorath fled to the Outer Rim and died in a skirmish 3 months later. Veth tried to negotiate and was killed by her own allies when they realized she had nothing left to offer. Morath surrendered and accepted exile to a distant colony world. Keelth simply vanished, and nobody searched very hard for him. Salith stood in the throne room where her father had demanded Marcus's execution. The crystal throne was cracked now, damaged in the final assault. She could have repaired it. Instead, she ordered it destroyed. We will not need thrones anymore, she said. Marcus watched from the corner as workers dismantled the ancient seat of power. He was older now. Gray touched his hair. Scars covered his arms from battles he had fought beside Valoran soldiers who had once despised his kind. What will you put in its place? He asked. A table round with seats for representatives from every system. Salith smiled. You told me once that empires built on fear always fall. I want to build something different. The reforms came quickly. Salith had spent the war years planning them. The Koth very tradition was abolished. No being could claim another as property. Conquered species received citizenship and voting rights. Military promotion would be based on merit, not birth. Many nobles resisted, some tried rebellion. They found that the soldiers they had once commanded now believed in something greater than noble blood. One by one, the resistances collapsed. The Kree Dominion sent an ambassador on the second anniversary of the war's end. They expected to find a weakened empire ripe for conquest. Instead, they found something they had never seen before. Your military has doubled in size, the Kreth ambassador noted. Your fleet construction has tripled, yet you have not conquered anyone new. We do not conquer anymore, Salith explained. We invite. Systems join us because they want to, not because they fear us. This is impossible. Power comes from force. Power comes from purpose. Force is just one tool among many. Salith leaned forward. The Kree Dominion rules through terror. Your subjects hate you. Your soldiers fight because they fear death more than battle. What happens when someone offers them another choice? The ambassador had no answer. Within 10 years, a quarter of the Kree Dominion had defected to what Salith now called the Valorian Federation. They were not conquered. They simply chose something better. Marcus never took a title. He refused every honor Salith tried to give him. He said he was just a teacher, and teachers did not need medals. But everyone knew the truth. The human doctrine had reshaped an empire. A species that the galaxy had dismissed as weak and unremarkable had changed the course of history. Other humans began arriving. Word had spread back to Earth that something remarkable was happening in Valoran space. Scientists, engineers, philosophers, artists. They came in small numbers at first, then in growing waves. They did not come to conquer. They came to contribute. 20 years after the Civil War, Salith held a ceremony in the rebuilt capital. She was empress now, though she disliked the title. She preferred to be called first among equals, a term Marcus had taught her from human history. The ceremony honored the founding of the Federation. Representatives from a 100 species filled the Great Hall. Former enemies sat beside former masters. Children who had been born free played together, without knowing that their grandparents had been slaves. Marcus sat in the front row. He was 73 years old now, ancient by human standards. His body was failing. He walked with a cane, but his eyes were still sharp, still watching, still learning. After the ceremony, Salith found him in the garden, where they had first talked about the future. He was looking up at the stars. Was it worth it? She asked. What? Everything. The war, the death, the years away from your own people. Salith sat beside him. You could have gone home. After the war, I offered you a ship. You stayed. Earth is very far away. Everyone I knew there is dead now. My home is here. Marcus pointed at the sky. Besides, I wanted to see how the story ended. It has not ended. No, but the beginning is complete. He smiled, and it was the warm smile she had learned to treasure. When I was captured, I thought my life was over. I was wrong. My life was just beginning. Everything before was just preparation. Preparation for what? For you. For this. For showing the galaxy that strength is not about claws or armor or weapons. Strength is about the willingness to change, the courage to question everything, the wisdom to build something better. Salith took his hand. It was wrinkled and spotted with age, so different from the Valoran hands she had known all her life. I claimed you by chance, she said. You claimed me by choice, the first real choice you ever made. Marcus squeezed her hand, and look what grew from that single moment. A princess who became an empress, an empire that became a federation, a future that nobody believed was possible. You made it possible. We made it possible. All of us. Every soldier who learned to fight differently. Every noble who learned to serve instead of rule. Every species that learned to trust instead of fear. Marcus looked at her. I was just the first human. There will be many more, and they will all teach something new. Salith felt tears on her face. She was not ashamed of them. Thank you, she whispered, for everything. Thank you for listening. Most people never do. They sat together in the garden as the stars wheeled overhead. Two beings from different worlds, different species, different histories, united by a chance meeting that had changed everything. Marcus Cole died peacefully in his sleep 6 months later. The Federation declared a day of mourning. His ashes were scattered among the stars he had loved. But his ideas lived on. In the military mise, they taught the human doctrine to every new officer. In the schools, Children learned about the small, soft creature who had defeated 17 soldiers and then reformed an empire. In the hearts of 100 species, his memory burned like a constant flame. Empress Salith ruled for another 40 years. She saw her children grow up in a galaxy transformed. She saw former enemies become allies. She saw the word human change from an insult to a compliment. When she finally died, her last words were about Marcus. "He showed me that everything ends," she whispered. "But he also showed me that endings are just new beginnings." The Federation she built lasted for 1,000 years. It grew to encompass half the galaxy. It faced wars and disasters and challenges that would have destroyed the old empire. It survived because it remembered one simple truth: the strongest thing in the universe is not power. It is the willingness to change. And that lesson came from a single human claimed by chance, who taught an empire to be better than itself. The story of Marcus Cole became legend. Then it became history. Then it became something more. It became hope. And hope, unlike empires, never truly dies.